Three, two, one. Welcome to the Mission Rewind. We are your hosts.
Brother Slight and Brother
Don't say
Butler.
brother. I'm Matt,
And I'm Chance.
and we are starting our first episode of this podcast called The Mission Rewind. Today we're joined by...
My name is Benjamin.
That was the most monotone. Say it again.
Ben. Just call me Ben.
His name is Ben.
Ben served in the Florida Jacksonville mission from 2022 to 2024.
5 months ago, yep. So
Jeez, bro.
So-
That was soon.
Soon?
Like, you got home
You mean recent?
recent. Yeah. Low key, dude.
Pretty interesting background about all of us. So we all went to high school together. Me and Matt are like childhood best friends. So I've lived in Rexburg for 13 years, and Matt was my backdoor neighbor.
We met Chance on the streets sometime along.
Low key, dude. They were trying to buy some stuff from me once, and
Naturally, as 13-year-olds do.
yeah.
Okay, so this is our pilot episode, and we are kind of just going to lay out the basics of what we're here for, what our stances is, and kind of just get into it. So our goal is to tell mission stories, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, the crazy, the spiritual. We want this to be the environment where we can all just look back and enjoy our missions, maybe look back at the hard times, the frustrating times, but we want this to be an exciting thing for people who have not served missions yet. We want it to be reminiscent for people who have served missions, and also just for anybody who wants to hear crazy stories. I mean, when you send out a bunch of 20-year-olds all over the world,
18 to 20.
a lot of
Yeah.
stuff goes down, and it's just cool to hear. I've heard some of the funniest, craziest stories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I served a mission, was just because of, like, the stories that I heard that fell into those categories that you listed.
That's awesome. Like, I honestly don't think I ever saw one missionary before I went on a mission.
That is not
What?
true.
Like, legit, bro. Like,
Were you living under a rock, bro? We're in Rexburg.
bro, okay. I grew up out in the boonies, okay, and I was never in town. I was always at home. So, other than that,
Fair point.
yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I guess there was like 4 or 5 months before I went on the mission that I did hang out with the missionaries after, like, I finally knew that we had missionaries, and they're like, "Why don't you come with us?" And I'm like, "Okay." I like drove them around sometimes. It was actually kind of fun.
Okay. So, serving in the Florida Jacksonville mission, what was the most frustrating part? I'm just going to get it right out of the way.
I think for me, what was really frustrating, and me and like a lot of other missionaries, we kind of felt the same way about this. It was kind of a problem in the culture. I think just, in all honesty, like, I'm just gonna come out and say it, but just like young, officially they're called young missionary leaders, like zone leaders, district leaders, even SPLs.
I think you just didn't like them because you're disobedient.
Yeah, that's why. They condescended to me because I wasn't as perfect as them. No, but like they would like butt kiss our president like really bad. It was pretty bad. And like it doesn't sound like it would be that bad, but like it affected other missionaries like a lot because it was to the point where leadership, like missionaries and leadership, didn't really understand their roles as leaders, and they kind of took it way out of context and blew it out of proportion to where it was almost like the salvation of the those that missionaries were teaching like in their zones or districts was like up to them, and so they would like nitpick, they would micromanage missionaries, and it was just super counterproductive. So I think that was, for me, that was what was most frustrating. That's what I would always be venting to home about, was about that.
Like a little bit power hungry. Oh yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And I was in leadership myself.
Okay,
For-
big shot.
You're trying to be AP, weren't
Shut
you?
up.
It's like, hey, President. Just
was
calling
actually
just to
one of
let
the
you know
mo-
how we're doing
I was
and
one
how
of the
our
missionaries
zone's
butt
doing.
kissing. No, I was just a district leader, so like, I don't know, like, I feel like there are some district leaders who like, it was their first chance at being in leadership, and they like aspired to like be an AP like later on, and it was super annoying. But I really enjoyed my time being in a position where I could like I had the opportunity to have a positive influence on other missionaries, and I could kind of like have some sway in changing what the overall like perspective of leadership was, because it was very negative. And I had a lot of district leaders and zone leaders myself that helped with that were like really good about just being encouraging, being good examples. That's ultimately what being a leader is about, is being an example, and you know, not forcing things on people, rather living it yourself, like being a good example of what a missionary should be doing. You know, obedience wise, work ethic wise, testimony, like you know, just all those things kind of come together in how a leader should be within the realm of missionary work. So
No, I vibe with that because like I think that's across all missions, and it's probably worse in a lot of missions compared to others. Like my mission was 50-50. I had decent leaders here and there, then the obvious butt kiss. And the thing is with butt kisses is everybody else in the mission knows what you're doing. Like other missionaries aren't stupid. They know that you're in a position because you put on a certain face or you said certain things to mission president. You know? And it's not the mission president's fault because he's trying his best based off of what he observes. But missionaries one-to-one can see when it's fake.
definitely.
Like was it like that in Oklahoma?
There was a lot of butt kissing, not gonna lie. But also, like, it wasn't even a lot about, like, butt kissing either. It was just a lot about, like, this is how, you know, we're supposed to teach it, but any variation was, like, a no. So, you know, you go to district council, and more than one occasion, you know, it's just, like, it was, like, a lecture rather than, like, an actual, like, saying, hey, like, that doesn't work for me, but this works for me. Like, it might work for you, you know, like, give it a try. If it doesn't, if you don't want to, then that's up to you. But it was always like, this is what worked for us. You do it now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, it doesn't work. Trust me. We tried.
Yeah. Well, that's why
Before you guys ever said anything.
That's why I appreciated like leaders, especially district leaders who led really good district council meetings. Like honestly, like I had a lot of district councils that were like like one of the foundational like points of my mission that really reinforced me being out there. Just like because when you get like a bunch of missionaries in one room, like if the motivation is in the correct place, it's like really good. It can be really motivating for sure. Like I remember I just have like super crappy weeks and be like wanting to go home, and then I'd have like a fire district council, and it was like I was super like amped up and like ready to do work. So yeah, if you get like the right people in a district, or even just the right leader, they can be really beneficial, but they can also be the opposite as well.
Yeah, I saw that with exchanges. And for those who don't know, an exchange is when basically a leader and his companion will swap companions for a day. And the goal is kind of so that you can see how they work, whether it's in their area or how they teach or whatever it is, and get to know that missionary better and know how to help them better. And we had one zone leader. He was my district leader. And then at a different occasion, he was my zone leader. And he ended up being AP. But he was so good. He was a Ghanaian who, like, I felt like he could get along with anybody from any culture. And not a lot of people can pull it off just because of their personality. But I mean, like, I seriously felt like we were brothers by the end of that exchange. And then I wanted to listen to him. Like, if he had advice or if he told me I was breaking a rule or whatever it was, like, because I respected him, I felt like I could listen to him. And it's because I felt like he genuinely cared about me. Like, he wasn't just doing it to do his job, but, like, during the exchange, he was constantly, like, just asking about me, getting to know me better, and I felt like he genuinely cared. Versus other people who I feel like are out to get you a little bit. Like, the only way they can be a good leader is if you get in trouble for something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, that's what makes a good leader, is, like, someone who's just able to get along with pretty much anyone. Because that's when, like, people, they get with you on, like, a personal level. And that's what I think is really fundamental and, like, what makes a leader good. I don't know. you know, because there's a lot of missionaries that aspired to like higher leadership positions like AP, zone leader, whatnot. But the ones that were like, this is actually like really like bolstered my personal testimony of like our mission president being divinely inspired, because like he would call like missionaries, like zone leaders to be AP that like had zero desire to be in leadership. Like they really just wanted like the best for other missionaries and for the work at large. And it was like always, it was consistent. Like missionaries like that were made AP.
I've seen both. There's a couple people that I'm like, yeah, you're a butt kiss. And maybe it's because our mission president was pretty old. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's just easier to have someone who has no drama
Yeah,
in the office, honestly.
yeah, that's true.
And I think that's how a lot of our APs were, is they weren't going to cause any sort of issues in mission president's eyes.
But what do you guys like? What was your perceptions of your mission presidents like when you first got into mission or even later on?
Like I loved my mission president. He was super chill. He got to go home 1 week before I got to go home, so didn't get to like go home the same day, which was kind of sad. But
So did
consistently throughout the mission, like he was always like wanting the best, but also I worked in a like with different people than like 3/4 of the missionaries worked with, because you know we got natives, we got white people, then we got Marshallese people, and Marshallese and native people have their own perception of how you teach and how we try to display like Facebook finding for them compared to what white people can perceive and just like understand. So there's quite a few occasions, you know, like my mission president was awesome, like great and amazing, but when it came to really us native missionaries trying to specialize for specific native stuff and all that, like it took just about my whole mission to get to that point, because we started right at the beginning of my mission and we got forgot about for about, I don't even know, like about a year, until my mission president's all like, what can we do to get funding together? And then finally got some funding, and then that's when like our content creators were like started going over ahead of us, and then it was like not personalized anymore, because it's like, this is what all the other pages are doing, this is like, you guys try it. And we're like, that's not gonna work. Like native people don't like white people that much, trust me. And like it is so true, because you could see throughout like the whole mission and like throughout different posts that we'd post, and I'd make a lot of the posts as well. Like we do some from other zone pages, and the reaction would be basically zero. You'd get like maybe 1 or 2 people that just liked everything anyways. But then you specialize it to actual native people, then more natives would be prone to like comment or like our posts, and we're all like, yeah, like
did you get a lot of people just commenting amen with prayer emoji?
oh, all the
Like
time.
literally, like I remember, because I was in the office for a bit, and like so we'd work a little bit with the social media missionaries, and they would always complain to us, be like, "Yeah, we got 63 comments in a recent post today, and like 55 of them were just amen." It was like the praying hands.
Yeah.
It's just old people on
Yeah,
Facebook.
just like old people are just like super
funny.
southern people.
Like I could see that sometimes though, because as not being a missionary anymore, like I look at things on Facebook and I'm like, you know, that's pretty good. Like amen.
I'm gonna comment amen.
But
on that.
but even if they ask or whatever, like with me and a lot of other natives, that we need something that motivates us within like that split second of seeing that post, like that hook for us to be like, oh yeah, then go in. But the majority of the time is just like, it's good information. Good job, mate.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how much social media has changed in missionary work, because there was times where that's like we were pushing it really hard, which is weird in Africa, because it's like 50% of people just have flip phones there. But I felt like it was the same in the States. Like there's times where they were using Facebook a lot, and then other times where they pulled back a lot. Is that true?
Yeah. I'd say, because I mean, in my mission, they were like, because I went out in 2022, so that was like right on the like downhill of COVID. Like it was basically, I mean, in Florida, COVID was like eradicated like immediately. Like any COVID restrictions were like completely dropped, basically as soon as they started. So, I mean, their like social media was like still pretty prevalently used by missionaries, but like it was still being like tested. Like a lot of things were being tested by our social media missionaries, and like leading up to when I was about to go home is when they started like actually creating what we call like, like Facebook finding and
Have
stuff
you
like that.
seen those videos coming out of the missionaries like doing the TikTok dances?
Dude,
What?
That stuff drives me bananas. I don't know why.
I think they started a TikTok thing while I was still on my mission. And
No,
I'm
but
all
have
like,
you seen the
"What?"
dancing ones?
No.
There's like not even words. It's just like
dude, there was one. When I was in the office, me and one of my companions, we would make fun of it all the time. But it was like this trio of missionaries, and the song. It's like a song by like Surfaces or something. I don't remember who it was. It was like, I'll be like, she's something on the beach.
What?
It's so cringe, dude. Like the missionaries were like doing like stupid TikTok dances and like somehow tied it to the gospel.
like there's a difference
Somehow.
between getting a lot of views and actually attracting people to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But like that would blow up for such a wrong reason to me.
Exactly,
You would just get
yeah.
people making fun of it.
Yeah.
Dude,
Because
this
I
is-
make fun of it, and I was a missionary.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a return missionary. And I think it's stupid.
This is basically like the Book of Mormon times when girls would like dance and all that. And all like the people are all like, yes, and then the prophets are all like, no, don't go for these people. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know. Like, I mean, like, I love TikTok. Like, there's some great videos, but I don't watch any dancing videos because I'm just like, that is so weird. Like, I'm all about watching like the videos that are
Come read the
like
Book of
other
Mormon.
comedians
Yeah,
or
like, what?
podcasters that are like, dude, this is
Like,
gonna be
is your
hilarious.
audience 13-year-olds? Like,
What?
It would have to be terrible to be a sister missionary if they're doing that too, because you're gonna get a bunch of
wouldn't
guys
touch
that
it.
are like,
Yeah,
hey.
no, I wouldn't even touch it if I was a sister.
oh no,
It's cringy enough with elders, but
I think I've seen like a couple videos from some elders, you know, that actually have something pretty good on a video. And I don't remember if it was on TikTok or if it was just like real or something, but they actually made it pretty like engaging, but it wasn't like a dance type thing. It was just like engaging, I guess.
At
I
every
don't know.
zone conference, we'd have like the like they would give like the social media missionaries like a little snippet of time to like present what they've been working on that transfer. And, like every transfer is like just a different like video basically that they would come out with, and it wasn't like they weren't like dancing or anything, but it was like skits, and they were just like so cringe. Like one of the missionaries would pretend to be like the investigator on the phone, and he'd be like, at the end he'd be like, because you know how like when you get social media referrals, you're supposed to like, there's like proven like statistics and like how
Yeah.
often you reach out, like what time, like
yeah.
you reach out X amount of times before you call, X amount of times before you go to their house, something like that. And in this call, and this is just an example, but in this skit, one of the missionaries is pretending to be the investigator, and he was like, at the end, he was like, "And thank you for being persistent." And
What?
it's like so cringe. Like, what?
Thank you for being
It's like,
persistent.
dude, people like investigators do not think about that. Like, they probably think it's annoying, if anything. Like,
Yeah. Because like
I don't know.
all the videos that I ever made were from like the Book of Mormon and the Bible, and I'm all like, just like sit down. I'm like, you know, do you really want to feel this? Like, do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel like comfort or peace or whatever? Because the majority of the world doesn't feel that like on a daily basis or even like on a regular basis. And just like, I know you guys are longing for this. Like, listen to these words, something like a little motivation. And then like,
Yeah.
reach out to us. You know, there's
Yeah,
more
like,
to
dude,
come.
Our problem in our mission was we had like the social media managers or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and what is that face?
I don't know. Keep going.
Nothing, bro. Go ahead.
I'm insecure now.
It's,
Chance is just winking at me. I don't know.
it's between me and Ben, not me and
Okay,
you.
whatever.
Okay.
But like, we would have a social media manager for like the zone or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and they'd give out assignments to each area of like, hey, you have to come up with one video this week, and then they wouldn't do it till last second, of course, because there's like a due date, and it would always
Homework.
be a missionary sitting on a desk in the apartment, reading 8 scriptures and then talking for 5 minutes, and they'd send in this like 5 or 6 minute video of them just like talking at the camera, super monotone, no editing, no music.
Well-
like, here, and then they'd post it, and they'd be like, it only got 10 views.
Dude,
those are the videos I skip. I hate
Yeah,
that
nobody
so
wants to
much.
watch
no one wants to
You
watch
gotta
that,
have like
yeah.
transition.
Like, well, first of all, I guarantee they didn't even watch it all the way through. If you can't
Oh,
watch
yeah.
your own video a second time before you send it,
Uh-huh.
nobody's watching that.
No
crap.
one's gonna watch it once. Yeah. That reminds me of video. I know you made a couple videos in your mission. I don't know if you like posted them or anything, but
Dude, we posted
just
a
did.
couple.
He
I just
sent me
remember
a
you-
couple, and I'm like, this
you
is the
should
most.
you should like include like a snippet or something of one
Dude,
of
they're
those videos because
so
they're
funny.
really good.
He's like flipping through the Book of Mormon like 20 times. He's like, oh, I found
That's
it.
because it was a joke, dude.
Book of
The-
Mormon,
We
man.
had
I'm reading the Book of Mormon, man.
these two sisters that were the social media people, and they asked us to make 3 like 5-minute videos. in
5
a
minutes.
week.
And
In a week.
And I was like, "What? We're
Dude,
busy."
yeah, like,
we
are
had
you
a
not
lot-
doing missionary
we
work?
would whitewash that area. I was like, "Dude, we don't have time for this."
Yeah.
well,
And
you
nobody uses phones here,
Uh-huh.
like smartphones.
Oh, yeah, dude, that'd be impossible.
So
Even
I
5
was like,
minutes.
"Screw that!" So we made it in like a random lunch hour.
Mm-hmm.
We made all 3 of them.
Dude, I think we were cut down to like doing it within at least a minute or two because
Yeah, no, all of
like
ours were, like,
engagement
5
after
minutes.
30 seconds goes down by like 60%.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with this podcast.
Yeah, because Ben keeps on talking and just won't shut up.
So, I'm
sometimes.
sorry,
Just
man.
kidding.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
But yeah, in all honesty, like it's fun like dogging on it because there's some cringe things for
Mm-hmm.
sure that come out from, like you said, 18 to 26-year-olds like that are
Oh, yeah.
in charge of the salvation of the world, or at least bringing them to that point, right? 'Cause, it's obviously Jesus
Yeah.
Christ that brings salvation. But
We're running slightly short on time, so one last question:
okay,
what's the biggest change you had to make internally after coming home? Like, what was the biggest thing like that you learned from your mission?
there's like something I like listened to a talk on my mission that really like struck a chord with me. It was like my last area. But like how, I don't know, I thought this before my mission, how like, being a missionary, you're like endowed, and you are endowed with like special spirit. I feel like special spiritual like privileges or like guidance almost as a missionary. You have that mantle, right? But this like the same thing applies to being a missionary as it does like being a normal member of the church. Like if you're gonna be spiritually healthy and like consistent, like you have to do the things that are required to like maintain that spiritual health. So what does that include, right? Like as missionaries, you have set apart time each day to do an hour of personal study every day within like the standard works and things like that. And that's like essential to have the spirit in its fullest capacity, right? And that's like really required to be effective as missionaries, to be able to have the constant companionship of the Holy Ghost to guide you to where you need to be and help you out in lessons. Like it's pretty required. But the same is true to be like, true to your covenants, even like as a member. Like if you want to, like President Nelson said it, if you're going to survive in the world spiritually nowadays, like you have to be loyal to your covenants. You have to have the Spirit with you, and that comes from studying the Book of Mormon, doing things to strengthen your testimony every day. Like you have to make God a priority in your life. Like you really do. That's something that I really learned, and like I'm not the best at it still. Like even since coming home, that's something I've struggled with, and I've noticed a visible difference in my life because I haven't been as like immersed in it as I was as a missionary, and that's just gonna happen. Like that's the hardest part about transitioning, I think, is just adjusting to that. But still making God a priority in your life is something that is going to be required if you want to be spiritually fit throughout your life.
It can be definitely hard, but geez, for all like the future missionaries out there, just see like how you can come home and actually see that huge difference. It's gonna change your life forever.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, that was a big reason why I wanted to serve, because I would see return missionaries and they're like different people. I was like, there's only one thing that could do that, and that's the atonement in effect.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I think you didn't have a choice because you're just our friend.
Ben is one of the best people you'll ever meet. So if you see him in future videos, give him a hands up.
We're gonna.
Give him-
That's our first merch. Our first
five.
merch is just gonna be a T-shirt with your face on it.
Yeah. So look in like the next few weeks, if not like a couple months, we'll start selling our merch. It's called
right.
the Benji shirt. It's gonna be
Benji shirt?
it's gonna be a face of Mr. Benjamin Thomas over there.
Well, I like the sound of that. I expect royalties though.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, it's just gonna be a basic one, you know, like a white tee. Maybe I offer it in black or gray.
Okay. If you have a mission story, we want to hear it and we want to share it. Whether that's you come into the studio, we're in Rexburg, or you email us a story and we read it, we'll give you credit, whatever. We are going to set up Zoom calls. We want your funny stories, your crazy stories, not your rule breaking stories. We're here to encourage missionaries to be good
Loyal.
missionaries. So share us your cool stories. You want to tell them, we know you want to tell them because you tell them to everybody else, so tell them to us.
Yeah. We're gonna be your best friends for at least an hour. Just-
Okay. We'll put the links of where to send them, how to contact us
Yep,
in
up here
the socials, in the bios, in the. Yeah.
somewhere. It'll be a link in the video description below.